Hey, good evening. Welcome to this week's Ride Along Radio Show. Today is Thursday, August 17th, 2017, and I believe this is show number 88, Gil.
Is it?
88, which means we're a fateful dozen shows away from show number 100, where we'll have to do something special. Like we talked about that live studio audience. We have to rent some bleachers and get some security guards in here.
Well, I don't know if we need bleachers, but we can set up some chairs.
No, we got to have bleachers because we got to get people in from all over the place. We have to bring people in. And, we'll hire extras.
We're not going to bring them in. But
we'll hire extras. We'll get busloads of extras from Hollywood Boulevard.
Well, that's how they do most protests. They bust people in from nowhere. They don't even know what they're protesting.
They're just paid?
Yeah.
They're crisis actors?
Well, they're not crisis. Let's not put that jacket on, Gil. But
that's a Kent Lee jacket.
Yeah.
All right. So, hey, so this is the show where we talk about police stuff and community stuff that impacts the police, and vice versa. Right, cop stuff, narcotics, etc. And and we knew when we started this show almost 2 years ago that we'd never run out of material, and boy, we have not. So we start every week with social media feedback, and we actually got some pretty good social media feedback.
Well, before we go into social media, when you just got here in the parking lot there, you said you had to piss like a racehorse.
Like a racehorse. Yeah.
Now, was that a Russian racehorse? I was wondering, or is that just? Was it a
Confederate? Not Confederate. I shouldn't say that. Kentucky racehorse.
That's
what I should have said.
Not a Russian one.
No, I didn't. I was rushing to the bathroom though.
You were rushing to the bathroom, and I didn't want to rush to judgment with regard to any collusion between you,
me and Russia,
and
rushing to the bathroom.
Russian racehorses.
Yeah, no, I didn't know they had Russian racehorses.
Oh well,
I know that racehorses rush.
I thought that was the saying. I have to piss like a Russian racehorse.
Oh, I never heard that.
I thought that's so. Maybe it's my bad.
Yeah, I never heard Russian racehorse. I just heard racehorse. I didn't know that.
Perhaps I'm talking about fake news.
It's collusion. I was colluding with the bathroom door. So,
I'm sorry. Feedback.
Speaking of bathrooms, so I was lucky enough to be able to be present at the L.A. premiere of Hamilton last night, and because of what I was doing there, I was there early, and I didn't have to wait.
What were you doing there?
I was just doing my duties there.
Oh, okay.
I was performing in an official capacity.
I was going to say production. Because that's like the hottest ticket in town.
Oh my God!
And last night was it was a premiere. Celebrity.
Oh, I saw everybody.
Everybody was there.
I saw everybody, man. Yeah. I saw everybody from Jessica Alba to P. Diddy. I saw Steph Curry. I had a brief conversation with the mayor of Los Angeles. I saw
Gridlock Garcetti. You talked to Gridlock Garcetti.
I saw him. And what happened was Eric Garcetti. Steph Curry and his wife were walking probably about 2 steps ahead of him. And the mayor stopped to talk to somebody, and then he turned and saw me, and I go, "Hey, Mr. Mayor, can we get that young man right there over to the Lakers? Like maybe next year?" And he starts laughing. He goes, "Well, maybe in about 3 or 4 years." He says, "I think we'll get LeBron first, though." So
he's lucky
we'll see.
I didn't see him.
You would have said something to him? I was actually sitting with this detail.
I would have said, what's with all this gridlock in Playa del Rey, for God's sakes?
Well, he said, "Hey, we're in Hollywood tonight. Let's enjoy it." But no, it was absolutely a star-studded event, and it was a great show. Really.
Star-studded.
Great show. Oh, yeah, man. All kind of A-listers everywhere. Great show. Really was. So if you're into that sort of thing, I recommend Hamilton. Highly recommend it. Apparently, it went from New York to Chicago to San Francisco, and now it's here. Yeah. So good show. All right. But yeah, so I got there early, man, and for the first time ever, I was in the Pantages bathroom by myself. Usually there's a line to get into the bathroom at the damn Pantages Theater. I was like, wow, it felt weird. You know what I mean? And then later I was in the auditorium by myself, completely by myself, sitting in the Pantages auditorium in front of the stage. Just like, it was very peaceful. It was very quiet. Mm-hmm. It was just a surreal feeling to be in a place that's always packed with thousands of people, and to be in there all by yourself was interesting.
Well, speaking of shows and star-studded shows, I was at the was that called the World Stage Center right down the street here?
Where's that?
Right down the street here, POTUS. It's right down the street here in Leimert Park. The World Stage, is that what it's called? Yeah, it's a small little venue. And my friend Natalie Jacob, who's a jazz singer, she was performing there with Scotty Barnhart, who's the current manager or conductor or director, I think director of the Count Basie Orchestra.
Oh, really?
And so he's a trumpet player, and he conducts the Count Basie Orchestra, and he's got this little quintet that he does this
nice.
venue. Oh my God, the music was just so good. Live jazz, live straight ahead jazz.
And you know what? And you'll find that here in Leimert Park. That's kind of the place for it now.
Yeah, I'd never been there before.
Nice. Well, I understand. I've never been to that place you're talking about. At least I don't think I have. But that whole little area is kind of the bohemian kind of
small little
vibe
joint
for it.
But let me tell you something. If you ever see Scotty Barnhart and his quintet, or we saw him at the Bowl also with the Count Basie Orchestra. I grew up on that music. That was my dad's music.
Oh, okay.
And so big band and Count Basie, Duke Ellington.
Right. My father was into that too. Lionel Hampton with the xylophone and all that.
Yeah. Man, what a guy! And that dude can play. And his band, this little band that was down here,
was it packed? It had to be with a big name like that. Was it? Did it draw a lot of people?
It wasn't as packed. It was very intimate, and it was mostly friends of Scotty and
Emily. One of those kind of deals.
Yeah.
Nice.
And it was really nice. I mean, we were just right there, and
nice,
so
man.
That was fun. And I also got to see Diana Krall.
Really?
Yeah, we went to Diana Krall at the Hollywood Bowl the next day.
Oh, I thought you meant she was over here. Okay.
Oh, no, she wasn't.
Okay. All right.
No, the next day I was
she's
at
in the hood, huh? Okay, Hollywood Bowl, right. Nice.
And, of course, it was packed.
Oh, yeah, of course.
And she put on a great show, man. I just love that girl and her music.
Nice. But, she's got a great voice.
Yeah. But, it was interesting to me, and I told Patricia, one of the things I really liked about the show, other than the performance and the music and all that stuff, and she was performing with the whole LA Philharmonic behind her with her band, and I mean, man, the huge sound.
Mm-hmm.
But she, in between songs and stuff, she didn't do any monologues. She didn't do any political statements. There was no op-ed pieces. Because like when we went to go see Michael McDonald at the Greek,
right?
Earlier in the year. In between songs, he started on his little anti-Trump tirade.
Really? Why would you do that there?
He really did, and it really just kind of killed the like.
Yeah.
I was like,
well, for you guys, you guys probably the only one sitting there bummed out. Like this dude, man.
Este vato.
Yeah. No, but why would you do that? Seem like that just. I've never heard Michael McDonald. Does he speak normally? Because he sings like woo 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 woo. Does he talk like that too, or does
he's got a normal.
This voice. Is a normal voice? Okay, I don't know.
But because of his age, a lot of the songs that you would recognize, are done in different keys now.
Oh, right.
Because he can't reach those notes anymore. So I told him, I said, well, I recognize the song, but that's a different key.
Yeah.
It doesn't sound right.
You know what? There comes a time when you got to sit it down.
Yeah.
Frankie Beverly and Mays is there now. I've seen him a couple of times, and I'll never go see him again.
Yeah, I don't know if I'll go see Michael again. Partly because of the singing, and then partly because of the other stuff.
Right.
But we saw Barry Manilow when he was 70, I think, last year.
Yeah.
At the Greek or the Hollywood Bowl, one of the two. I think it was the Bowl, and. That dude, and because I was thinking, Barry Manilow,
Yeah, but he's a very talented dude, man.
And he put on a hell of a show. And he can still sing. At 70, that dude can still sing.
Okay.
I was blown away by that. But last weekend, man, we just had this great weekend of jazz music. I just loved it.
That sounds nice, man. Good. You got to have a good time. You know what I mean? Despite everything that might be going on, we got to find time for that kind of thing.
Right.
Always.
Yeah, a lot of fun.
All right. Social media feedback. So we showed a couple videos last week, and one of them was the female police officer who got punched in the face and then tased the man in the damn McDonald's and hit the guy, but the guy with the casket pose, that one where she made him ride the lightning and he folded his arms up like he was in the casket. So Chris Wimbush says, "Hey fellas, this is my stance on this. I believe if you are a police officer, you should be highly trained in all forms of combat and restraint. With that being said, you should be able to take a suspect down without the kill shot, especially if there's some distance between you and that person. As a civilian, I know I can't, but as a trained officer, I believe you should be. Not all shots need to be kill shots. My father worked as a Metro DC cop during the 70s and 80s, and then moved into detective work for FPS, that's the Federal Protective Service, for the government for 20 more years. And he always bragged about being able to put shots into a guy, slowing him or her down without killing them."
I think his dad was telling tales.
Tall tales?
Tall tales.
Well, I'll say this. When you have to shoot somebody, if it's that immediate and that extreme where you actually have to put a bullet in somebody, you generally don't have time to be trying to aim for some body part that you may or may not hit, that may or may not incapacitate the person or stop them. Remember, now, we don't shoot to kill, and you'll never find a police officer write that down anywhere in a report You're not trained that in the academy. We're trained to shoot to stop that person. And the best place to stop somebody from doing something you don't want them to do, the most reliably, is to shoot them someplace in the torso. That 10 ring that Gil is indicating between the top of the chest and the waistline. That's where your major organs are, and that's where that shock is going to stop you from doing whatever it is you're doing. Now, of course, the better place to shoot somebody is in the head, but the head's harder to hit, right? Because you could fit a couple of heads into that torso space. So you always want to shoot center mass, we call that. So as far as your father doing that, I mean, you know, Gil thinks your pop is exaggerating, and I tend to agree with him. I'm sorry, it's just not something that we're trained to do. You know, and if he shot somebody and they hit him in the leg, it probably wasn't on purpose.
Because you have to remember this: people don't die from getting shot. They die from major organ damage and blood loss.
Right, that's what kills you. It's not the lead poisoning.
Correct.
Yeah, it's all the stuff that comes after it. So we have to shoot people where we think it's going to stop them, not kill them, but stop them. And you know, you don't have time to be trying to do all that old Danny Glover lethal weapon thing with the moving the neck and getting the gun out there and taking your time and holding your mouth a certain way. You ain't got time for all that. You know, you have to stop the threat. So there's that.
It happens fast. Now, I don't remember if I thought I saw the video on here on your list for later. The shooting where the guy's walking away talking on the phone. You have that? Okay.
Yep, that is coming up.
Okay, because when that's when we'll talk about that. But you'll
exactly.
See just how fast this happens.
Just how fast it happens. Vivian Ford had a 3-part question, and we're going to try to get through that so we can get to our video.
Now, is Vivian a writer or what?
Man, Vivian is a hell of a writer. I don't know if she does it for a living, but she might want to, because I like the way she writes. So she has 3-part question, or 3 different questions. And typically I wouldn't take all 3, but Vivian's a longtime supporter, and she's given us some good material to work with before. So, number 1, PTSD and suicide levels among police was mentioned. This is in our last show. We touched on it. Just wondering if police are required to have periodic psychiatric evaluations or critical incident stress debriefings after being on the force a number of years or after critical incidents. If not, why not? Considering the kind of things they witness on a routine basis. I'm guessing they give them evaluations before they get hired and after they have to shoot someone on the job. Should that be expanded? You're absolutely right. You do get a psych before you get hired. And if you get in a shooting where you actually hit somebody, where you actually get hits, like your bullets actually strike someone, whether they die or not, you will be sent to the psych to talk about it. Mm-hmm. And but other times, there's other things. Like I've seen some pretty horrific stuff, and there was no psych that I went to go talk about it.
Well, let me tell you, when my partner Scooby Doo and I, when we got into an OIS
officer involved shooting
on over there in Imperial Court
in the PJs,
they sent us to we actually shot a parolee, and sent him back to prison. He was doing a 211 with a handgun, fired at the car, and
so he was robbing somebody. You guys rolled up and he shot at it.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
So, but anyway, they sent both of us to see Dr. Susan Sachs at the time, and when I get in there, my first session, right? She says, so just tell me what you do. What do you do?
Right.
And then I told her what I did, and I was part of the crime impact team that we had created to serve search warrants and stuff. So when I started to tell her all the stuff that we were doing on a daily basis, she looked at me and she said, "You know what? You and your team should be cycling through here once a month."
Yeah, that's about right. Considering all the things that, sure, that's about right. Oh, yeah. I mean, but there's stuff, burnt bodies and fatal traffic accidents that you witness or you get there afterwards or whatever. Yeah, there's stuff that it comes out later sometimes, So certainly I think there should be more mental health maintenance done.
And I think LAPD has a program, because I remember when I was at KPFK, we had their psychiatrist on. I believe his name is Mondrian or something like that. And because they'd had a year there in the late 90s, early 2000s, where LAPD, there were more LAPD officers who killed themselves than were killed in the line of duty.
Oh, wow.
And so, we had him on to talk about that. And they do have a maintenance program. Now, I don't know what it is today. I don't know how, because I haven't.
It's not like an EAP thing, though, right?
No.
Okay.
No, you don't request it. It's just part of, I think it's part of major incidents or something. But somehow they had a maintenance program in place because they were having, they were having issues with that.
Well, you know what? And so let me retract something else I said. So, not retract, let me correct it or amend it. After getting in a shooting, you go to the site. Before you're hired, you go to the site. A friend of mine was killed in the line of duty April 29, 2005, and they did a very good job of making sure there were counselors on hand at the department, crisis counselors, and there were people who would go in and talk to them. And it was like, there's nothing like the pall that's cast over a police station when an officer is killed in the line of duty. I had never witnessed it firsthand before, and it was awful. But they did a really good job. There were chaplains on hand, and there were actually psychiatrists or psychologists on hand who'd set up offices in the police station for you to talk to them about this loss. They did a good job with that. But typically, there's nothing like a maintenance kind of program, and I think there should be. Okay, question number 2. What is the norm for crowd control at so-called peaceful demonstrations? It seems there's been a shift in tactics lately. Seems it used to be put up barricades and keep opposing sides away from each other. Now it seems it's let them duke it out a while and not get involved. Then call it an unlawful gathering and then break up the protest and send everyone on their way together, allowing more fighting to break out. Then get involved and start arresting people. Seems like chaos is being encouraged. I think what it is, protest is something we've been steeped in for years. They teach you in the academy, crowd control. Counter-protest is something that's become more popular lately or more common lately. So we haven't always seen counter-protest where there's these two opposing sides that you need to keep apart. And that's a strain on resources. And officers can get hurt. So, I always tell my officers, none of this is worth you getting hurt over. Because an officer goes down, and we have tactics where we'll go and rescue an officer, if the officer is hurt in a civil disobedience or civil disturbance incident. But, when I was in charge of a skirmish line, I would have my officers, I have them hold back until we needed to deal with stuff. Like the last one I did for real that was a big deal was one of the Laker parades that we had. And we had to go rescue somebody that was getting thumped by the crowd. It wasn't an officer. It was just some civilian out there. And, but I wanted to make sure that none of my officers got hurt because that's not what we're there to save people. But if I start getting my officers hurt, then who's going to be out there to save people, right? So I don't think chaos is being encouraged. I think chaos is being improperly managed is probably what it is. And in Charlottesville, I think, and we'll talk about this later, I think there may have been a failure of intelligence gathering to really realize how big the problem was going to be.
Yeah, I don't think it's a failure of intelligence. This is something I've talked about for a very long time now on this show, and that is this progressive approach to law enforcement, especially here in California. And we saw it really rear its ugly head during the Obama administration at the Occupy Wall Street demonstrations. When you saw the way that law enforcement dealt with Occupy Wall Street, that's how you dealt with riotous crowds. You met force with force, and you put them down. You create your skirmish lines, and you create avenues of exit, and you push the crowd where you want it to go, so they'll disperse on their own and get out of the zone there. But after Ferguson, there's been this push on law enforcement to hold back, and we've seen it in Berkeley, we've seen it in Anaheim, we've seen it in a bunch of different places now, where law enforcement is just told to hold back. And in fact, I had posted on my Facebook page of a demonstration up in Berkeley not long ago. It was earlier this year. It was only months ago, and the guy actually took a camera. And there was 2 police officers from Berkeley PD.
I remember that.
And he was trying to interview them, like, how come you guys aren't, they're fighting
right,
over there.
Right, getting involved.
And I said, sir, I can only tell you to contact the police department for an official statement. He was being facetious, and he was being an asshole. The officer was.
Yeah, but
he was trying to tell the guy without saying it. Yeah, we've been told not to do anything. If you want to know why we're sitting here on our hands,
go ask them.
Go to the chief and find out.
Right.
Same after UC Davis, after the lieutenant was walking up and down the line.
Oh, with the pepper spray.
With a pepper spray.
But you know what? I'll say this, though, man. The difference so I don't recall there being any counter-protest at the Occupy movement. Was there any counter-protesters
No, there was no counter-protesters.
But the last things you named, the Berkeley incident, et cetera, those all had counter-protesters, right?
Right. But the thing I want to say about counter-protesters is we've always had counter-protesters, but now what we have is organized, funded counter-protesters that are being sent to a specific event to cause disruption.
Which is question number 3 that Vivian asked, and you said you were going to take that. So Here's a segue. It's perfect.
Yeah. So it's
well, let me read her question first, and then you can kind of frame your answer around that, and everybody else will know what the question is. Her third question was, I've also heard several commentators suggest George Soros is funding the far-left demonstrators at these rallies, and the Koch brothers are funding the far-right. So it would appear these demonstrations are not being manned by your average citizens and may just be paid agitators. So much for democracy. Any thoughts on that?
So there's a couple things. We now know that the Occupy Wall Street movement was a funded protest by left-wing groups that were supported financially by George Soros. So that's out there, and I thought, well, what do I do? Do I bring all the data? It's out there. You can Google
look for
it,
yourself, sure.
and you can find it. So that's not in question anymore. And the Koch brothers are more into, they're not funding protesters or counter-protesters. They're more involved with a group called ALEC, I forget what it stands for, but you can find it online. And they're more interested in state laws. So they're spending their money to lobby politicians to help set a public policy that they think is in line with what they would like to see.
Yeah. Okay.
So, but these are very good questions, because I saw somebody on my Facebook page post that the Charlottesville Police Department admit they were told to stand down. Well, I tried to verify that, because it came from a site that I didn't recognize, and so I don't repost those.
Right.
And I couldn't find it, and I didn't have a lot of time to really, so I don't know if that's true or not. I don't know if the Virginia State Police was told, stand down, let them do their thing. Right. I do know that in Baltimore, the officers were told to stand down. The mayor actually said they need an outlet to vent their frustration, and so let them destroy the city. We'll pay for it later. I know for a fact in Berkeley they've been told to stand down. And so it's not so much so it's two things. It's things have changed specifically since the election of Donald Trump. Everything has been heightened because the political left is really doing. They've really pulled out all stops to try to delegitimize this president, and they're hoping that through investigations or allegations, or they're hoping to find some way to remove him from office. Right. That's what they're hoping for.
I think they'll probably admit that too.
Yeah, and that's what they're hoping for, and that's not how it works, and it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen like that.
Well, you know what? The other side tried that last time too, and it didn't happen. So you're right. It's not going to happen.
And that's exactly my point. Is it's funny to me because I tend to be kind of to the right, not far right. Not compound guy right. You know what I'm saying? I'm not that far out there. But I remember.
Shout out to Kent Lee.
But I remember in the run up to the 2012 election, the re-election of Barack Obama, I remember friends and a lot of online stuff about this was going to be the end of the world, and FEMA camps were coming, and gun confiscation,
sure. and everybody's got all their guns. Everybody's got even more guns now.
More guns and more bullets. It's like I'm watching this. I'm going, well, shit.
Maybe I do need to, huh?
Because people I know, people I trust. And it didn't happen. Right. You heard about impeachment of Barack Obama. You heard about violated the Constitution with his executive order. You heard a whole bunch of stuff, and nothing ever happened. And I think we're going through the same thing, but this time it's the other side.
Right. That's amazing to have that kind of a seesaw back to back like that. We didn't even have a breather in between.
Right. So the truth is, somewhere down the middle, is the truth. Now, I happen to think that the people who voted for Donald Trump, we send him there to do an agenda, and I want the president to get off of Twitter, but get rid of his goddamn phone. Somebody should take it from him, and not buy into the games that the swamp is playing. Because every time he does that, all the good stuff he's done just falls by the wayside.
Right.
And we end up focusing on
he's being goaded into that.
And he's falling for it.
He should be smarter than that and better than that. As a police officer, you're supposed to ignore ridicule. He's got to do it. We've got a
absolutely
APSA, as you would say. We got a caller. Hey, caller, what's your name and where you calling from?
What's up, Holt? Jeff Brown.
Jeff Brown. Hey, man, turn your house down or turn your background down or roll your windows up.
Is my background? Is my life loud?
There you go. Your life is loud. Turn your life down. Turn your life down. What's happening?
Hey man, I'm all right. Hi, Gil. I was just listening, y'all.
I love that, man.
Hi, Gil.
And it's Gil's position. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to talk directly to you, Gil. I hate when men talk about other men in a room and they don't talk to the man. That's punk shit. So I'm going to talk directly to you. Your position on Trump, as you explain things to him, follows a pattern of Republican or conservative thinking. And remember, always ask conservatives what it is they're trying to conserve when they say that. And without question, it always gets back to bigotry and Jim Crow. But to say that you are comparing them apples to apples.
Comparing who? Who did I compare?
You're comparing the allegations of misdoings for each president, Obama and Trump, and impeachment with regard to Obama and Trump, as if a birth certificate and an intercontinental ballistic missile are on the same level. And that I call apples and bowling balls.
I don't know if I understood that. Well, I'm not sure I understand what you're trying to say.
Okay. All right. I'll take another stab at it. You are saying that the same words were being thrown around, impeachment, breach of the Constitution with Obama,
correct,
as with Trump, and nothing happened.
Nothing happened to
in
President.
Either case.
Correct.
In
That's
either
correct.
case.
That's correct.
To say that without putting into context that America or the powers that be or whoever was looking to impeach Obama because they couldn't find his birth certificate, it weighs the same as we're trying to impeach Trump because he's playing chicken with North Korea. Is like saying both of my kids are grounded. One of them forgot to cut the grass. The other one robbed a liquor store. It's not the same, and that's a trick. It's a social trick that is played generally by Republicans with the bootstrap language, with you need to make your own way and you have an opportunity, without factoring in all the other bullshit. And everything they say and everything you said makes perfect sense in a vacuum. That's like saying, because I fire my weapon and I aim it with the sights right, I'm going to hit a target every time. Nope, it's dark, people is running, shit is happening, people scream, the bullets ain't all packed right. Mm-hmm. You might miss. There's 100 reasons why it's hard to shoot something in the offhand position.
Well, you know what? It was. I agree that maybe it was an oversimplification, but it doesn't mean that he's not going to be right in the end because Trump is still president. Obama got out with his skin intact. They never impeached him. We got 7.5 more years to get Trump, but it hasn't happened yet, man. And you know, this dude did things, man, that I thought he would have been gone 6 mistakes ago. And he's still there. So
I think that is because you, like a lot of people, and forgive me if I sound condescending to you, I apologize, I reserve that purely for guilt.
Wow, he really is funny.
That is because, I'm funny, Gil, you should ask around. That is because, like most people, you still believe that this is the America that you went to 5th grade in. It's not.
Oh, I know that. I've said that a number of times.
The concept. Oh no! I was talking to Holt.
Right. You're saying in terms of the America that was painted to me as a 5th grader, or painted for me.
Yes.
Oh, that America never existed. Hold on a second. That America never existed. Living Colour has a song called "Which Way to America," and that's basically what they said. I want to know how to get to your America. Which way to your America? Right. It's the same thing.
Understood. But there was a group of laws and a group of context and a group of ways of being that started to erode on November 22nd, 1963, the day that Kennedy was assassinated. and was stuck in the chest and is just taking a long time to die after 9/11. This is not, impeachment is going, in 10 years, the word impeachment will mean nothing. That is my Negrodamus prediction. Oh, that's Paul Mooney. But
yeah, right.
The concepts that we are trying to put this man under have been put on the shelf. They don't mean anything.
The game has been changed for sure.
Oh my God! The pull, the magnetic pull to make this one world government started long ago, and the only reason I called was, and I probably should have waited so I would have had more shit to throw back, is the concept that conservatives and Republicans always speak as if shit is happening in a vacuum. I'll say that, and I'll wish you both a good night. And with the same thing I always say, Gil, please be careful in your bathroom. Don't slip on the bar soap and bust your head open on the sink.
All right, brother. Thanks for calling, man. Hilarious. Right along show legend, comedic legend, Jeff Brown.
Buddy.
I told you he was funny.
Yeah. Well, that's the first time I've ever seen any humor. When he was here, he wasn't funny.
All right. Well, he's been back a couple of times, but I know what you're saying. All right. So, wow, we are actually at our first break, and so we're going to get into a break, like a real short break. We're going to turn around and get set because we have a special guest in the studio. You may have heard that feminine giggle, and I was off camera, so you might have thought it was me, but it wasn't. It was.
Well, that's what I thought. In my headphones, that's what I thought.
It was my guest with the red hat on. I thought it said "Make America Great Again," but it doesn't. So, all right, we will be right back. See you in a minute.
Oh my God.
All right, and that was "You're Gonna Get Yours" by Public Enemy. That's off their first album. Always love that record.
Hey, before we get going, I got to read you this text I got. This is Ed.
Ed from Colorado?
Ed from Colorado. He wrote, so George just admitted that we have 8 years total of Trump. Is he coming to the right side now or what?
No, I said we got 7.5 years to get him, is what I said.
Yeah, but that implies that he'll be there for the next 7.5 years as president.
If somebody don't get him, he ain't the Memphis Belle. Enough people coming after him, they'll hit him. So, no, you're right though, Ed. I'm not coming back to that party, at least not anytime soon. But you know what? If you guys want to help get me back over there, get rid of him before the next term, and I'll make that bargain. Hell, I'll make that bargain with the devil. I'll come back. You get rid of him. How about that?
He's going to be there. Like I told Ralph Valencia, 8 long years.
You know what?
8 long years.
He's so old and so full of bitter poison. At his age, he shouldn't even buy green bananas. He ain't.
Who, Ralph? Why are you calling him
Ralph? About Ralph. I'm talking about
I thought you said Ralph was old and...
No, Ralph is still vital. Ralph is an active police sergeant. I'm talking about your Uncle Donnie.
Well, I was going to say, you talk about Ralph like that. That's my homeboy. Mm-hmm. That's my carnal homie.
Ralph's OG, too. Ralph went to Salesian High School. Ralph's real.
Look out now.
See? There you go. You got to be from L.A. or you got to be from the area to know what's up with Salesian.
She was scared of him.
Hey, so listen. We're back, and to my left, we have once and again Right Along radio show guest Jasmine Cannick, who is a political commentator and a blogger and a PR person and a bunch of other good stuff. So, Jasmine, welcome back to the show.
Hey. I wouldn't necessarily use those titles to classify me, but...
well, there's a whole bunch of stuff that I would have to... Okay, you run it down then.
I'm a social critic. I write out a lot of commentary on a blog.
So you're a blogger? Okay.
And I'm a political consultant.
Okay.
Yes.
And you're a guest on the Right Along radio show. So you do that too. Add that to your resume.
Yeah, I'm going to add that to my resume.
There you go. So... And we have a short video I want to play because somebody asked us to get to it last week and we didn't. I want to get to it. We're going to talk about that. We're going to critique it, and then we'll come back and jump into the meaty topic that you got going. And this is like a tactic thing, so I don't expect you to chime in on this one.
Well, actually,
but you may want to.
She's been through the simulator, though.
I have.
I saw the video.
Huh? Yeah.
I saw the video.
That's right, huh?
I think I killed an innocent person.
I think you did.
Well, you know what?
And I think you got prosecuted, and I think you went to prison.
I think I did, too.
Yeah.
Well, I'll say this: as the owner of a couple of those simulators and a training facility where we have that, those are scenarios that are meant to challenge trained police officers. So it's no wonder that when civilians come in, they end up on the wrong side of the decision because.
But it does give them
gives them a taste,
a brand new perspective. Though.
Gives them perspective,
right? Didn't you have more?
I didn't have a brand new perspective because I was never one of those people that thought I can do an officer's job or that I even know how to shoot or hold a gun. So I didn't even go into the simulator with those ideas. So
you didn't come there to prove how easy it was.
No, I did not.
Okay,
it was great to be able to experience it, but it didn't change anything for me because I didn't have that mindset to begin with.
Was it an eye-opener?
Did you have some preconceived notion, though, about what happens in an officer-involved shooting situation? You didn't?
No.
Even though you comment on them?
I comment on them all the time, but if you ever pay attention to my comments are never, he shouldn't have done that, he shouldn't have, or she shouldn't have done that. On some videos where things look a little iffy, I may interject and say some things, but usually 9 times out of 10, I don't because there are so many different. It looks
a lot of dynamics.
A really good example would be last night when Crazy Boy got up on the
down the harbor
thing. Now, from the television version, we're thinking he's over water. But if you were there, then you knew that underneath him he wasn't under the water. It's perception is different.
Exactly. Right.
So no.
Yeah, I thought he was over water.
But I do think there are.
He might have thought he was over water too, and he jumped 125 feet.
Did he jump or did he fall?
They
say he was doing a lot of yoga up there. He might have fell.
But you know what? Also, when you get up that high and there's wind, sometimes especially down in the port.
By the drugs or by the height that he was
altitude
up?
Height.
Okay.
Yeah, there's some wind that goes on up there, and that may have been enough. I mean, I don't know. I haven't seen the video. I just heard the story. So
I think they better get their security in check. I don't know how he got that far.
Yeah, he wasn't supposed to get down there. But you know what? We can talk about that one on another show maybe next week. Or
because we need the video.
We need a video, So listen, here, this situation happened down south, and it was a police officer whose department didn't have body cameras yet, but he went on Amazon. He spent $30 on a pair of body cam eyeglasses or a camera glasses kind of a thing that you wear. You've seen those.
Yeah.
And he did not know that it would one day lead to the documentation of his near murder. But, I'm sure he's glad he had those on.
Yep.
And so we're going to watch this video, and then we're going to come back and talk about it real quick. And we're going to give you our perspective on it.
Take your hands out your pocket! Shots fired! Shots fired!
Wow, tough to watch. That video just released in South Carolina. It was recorded with a $30 camera Officer Quincy Smith bought with his own money. This happened in January of 2016, and the man with the gun just convicted of attempted murder. The officer continues recovering from his
way like that.
Well, that was initial.
That was his initial.
That was his initial approach on the dude.
They have the video backwards.
Yeah, they should have had it where it was the other way around. I guess I clicked the wrong video.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So what happened was it's a robbery call. It said the guy in the area had been threatening people is what it was.
Right.
And matching that description, wearing camouflage, male black. So he goes to contact the person, and he's telling the guy to take his hands out of his pockets, I think, right? So we learned a long time ago that is a mistake. If somebody has their hands in their pockets and you tell them to take their hands out of their pockets, then you're expecting them to take their hands out of their pockets. You're not going to react as they draw that gun out because you've told them to do it. You're expecting them to pull their hand out. What you're not expecting is a gun that's in their hand.
Right.
So what we learned to say is keep your hands in your pockets. Keep your hands in your pockets. And then that way, if he starts pulling the gun, then at least you've got a little bit of a half a second of early warning that makes the difference between life and death sometimes.
Because you already have 3/4 of a second of lag time from the time your eye sees something, sends a message to the brain sees it, analyzes it, and then tells the body how to respond. 3/4 of a second.
Mine is a lot slower.
Yeah. And I want to add, for people who smoke weed,
that's even slower.
But that's not why mine is.
Well, I'm not.
It has something to do with synaptic gaps.
I just say I can't stand weed.
Synaptic gaps.
People always think people with locks smoke weed. I'm not one of those people.
I wasn't talking about you. I was just saying in general.
Mm-hmm.
And
profile.
Fortunately, the officer lived. And the suspect was convicted. He got 35 years, I believe, in prison for attempted murder. But, you know, I want to point something out. This, to me, is interesting from a tactician standpoint and a ballistic standpoint. That officer was shot repeatedly. He was shot in the neck. He was shot in the side. He was shot in one of his arms.
Was he wearing a vest?
He was wearing a vest.
He was wearing, okay.
And I think that's what saved his life. And you saw the blood on his hands as he got back. So that officer was shot repeatedly, hit the ground, got up, and ran back to his police car. So when people talk about or they think you're going to shoot somebody once and they're going to be done, they're going to fly out of their shoes and land across the street on the hood of somebody's car, that's not how that works.
It don't happen like that.
It doesn't happen like that. And that suspect turned around, shot that officer at probably, less than 10 feet.
Yeah.
And shot him repeatedly, and the officer was able to get up. Will to survive, though, fought through it, and, you know, he broke contact with the suspect and went and got himself some help. But, you know, man, $30, that was actually really good resolution on that camera.
That is.
$30.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, the thing, when I saw the video, was the reason I posted it, because just like what you just said, I remember when I was in the academy and we were doing officer survival, and Lieutenant Rich Wimmer from LAPD, he was our survival instructor. And so he had two guys leave the room, and he told them, okay, you're police officers, here's your radio call, possible 417 man.
Okay, man with a gun.
So they're outside, and so he said, you know, that was their call. Outside, they told him, that's your call. So they come in and they see him. That he's their, you know, the guy they want to talk to.
Yeah.
So the officers walk in, and Lieutenant Wimmer has his hands inside of a jacket. You know, he's got his hands in. You can't see his hands, and so he's facing the wall away from them. They start to give him commands. He doesn't respond. What he's doing is he's watching them in the pictures on the wall.
Sure,
he's looking at the reflection to see where they're going to go, how they're going to place themselves. So they place themselves on a V, you know, kind of tactical V.
Right.
And they're all standing like this, right? This is standard, right?
Right, no gun out.
Unsnap. But this is, you know, this should be enough, right? Because I'm a police officer. I'm in full uniform.
I'm telling you.
Yeah.
I got my hand on my gun. Can't you see? Yeah.
And so finally he turns around and they say, take your hands out of your pocket. And he goes, what? Now he's making him think, right? Take your hands out of your pocket, sir. Take your hands out of your pocket. Do it now. And he's looking at him and he goes, okay, just relax. He goes, you want me to take my hands out of my pocket? And they go, yeah, take your hands out of your pocket. He goes, okay. And he goes, boom, boom.
Right, before they could even react.
Capped them both, and they were still standing there like this.
Right, exactly. And that's when we learned, that's about that time probably that we learned, it's best just to, you don't move.
Right.
You know, you don't move, and I'll deal with you. You do what I tell you to do, and nothing else. You know, and that's how you survive. And
the other thing that I learned is when you start giving somebody commands and they don't respond, they're planning an attack.
Yes.
So
you got to disrupt that.
If they start walking away, we have a guy walking away on the phone with one hand you can't see, talking on the phone, looking back at you like this. He's waiting for his moment.
That's target glancing. He's seeing where you are also.
And then when he's decided now's the attack time, then it's violence of action. It's pulling, no hesitation.
Right.
And he just empties.
Because he already knows what he's going to do.
Exactly.
And he knows where you are. You don't know what he's going to do.
Right.
Yeah. No, absolutely. I mean, there were some tells there.
So this is why, you know, when we talk about officer-involved shootings and you see someone, well, why didn't they just tase him? Or why didn't they just shoot him in the leg? Or why?
Well, that's
the community. You know, you should be able to shoot, you know,
in the leg or something.
You know, non-kill shots at a close distance or whatever. All this nonsense. It's just all nonsense. And it's one of the things.
It doesn't seem like nonsense to the community, though.
Yeah, I know, but the community.
Yeah, but look at this video.
Never done the job.
And that officer didn't shoot that man and look.
Like that.
That officer almost died. Because he,
the only way to get a perspective about that kind of work is to actually put on a uniform and get out there and do it. And the first thing you learn, especially if you're a person of color, is that your homeboys out there suddenly don't see you as a Mexican. You're not the brother anymore. Now you're just another pinchy cop.
Pinche.
You seem hostile about. Did someone call you that?
No.
Pinche cop, I'm sure.
I've been called every name in the book.
Oh yeah, me too. But whatever. You know.
But I'm just saying that you know.
No, absolutely.
Unless you're trained in tactics, and unless you've done this, something similar.
Well, I'm just since I'm the only one here that has not been a police officer, and I'm a part of the community. I just want to say that I understand the community when they talk about why can't you shoot someone in the leg or the arm? Why can't you shoot to disarm versus shoot to kill?
Because you can't do that. It's just not.
That's why.
That's why.
You know what? But we're not always led to believe that that's not possible because
you guys watch too much TV.
No, because we have police chiefs and leaders in police departments today that talk about their kinder, gentler department, who do make it seem like there's been a lot of training, a lot more.
Sure.
So, and that they've been trained now. Officers have been trained to do things differently, and so I think the community has an expectation that things will be done differently. So when these officer-involved shootings do happen, and now, because it's 2017 and everything is on video, these videos start popping up on the internet. People are shocked when they see certain things. So I that was totally not the topic I'm here to talk about, but I wanted to throw that in there just because I don't think we should discount the community's concerns when it comes to policing in our community.
Well, let me say this. I think it's the difference you may see. Based on some of the training and tactics, you may see less officer-involved shootings. But when they happen, expect people to get shot and die.
Right.
Yes, we had one in Nickerson Gardens last night. And
that's right. The sheriff
was that right?
And the video was horrible.
I missed that.
Young man lost his life.
There's video of that shooting already?
Yes,
I didn't see it today.
it's on my Facebook page.
I heard
okay.
about it.
We'll let you give that out before we leave. So listen, you were here for a particular subject that I know that you're very passionate about because I follow your Twitter feed, and I thought, you know what? As I looked into it, I thought that's actually a pretty good topic. Let's see if we can get her to come on down here and let the people know about it.
I calm down. Whenever you ask, I pretty much try to.
Yeah, you do. I give you that.
I like hanging out with you guys. You guys are fun.
Well, that's
and
good to hear.
And I like my girl's studio.
Yeah, right? And it's just getting better, isn't it?
It is.
Just getting better. So lay it out for us. Lay out what we got. What's the deal?
Well, I think we have a video clip, right? We have. Let's look at Fox 11. Out of all the coverage that has happened this week, because it's only this week that the mainstream news media
all of a sudden
it up.
Right.
But I really like Fox 11's piece because they were able to get some surveillance video that no one else had gotten.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Laura, Christine, good evening. Detectives say only out of an abundance of caution are they going to be taking a closer look into what happened at this building behind me on July 27th. An upstairs apartment up there is where Ed Buck lives. He's a very prominent Democratic donor here in the L.A. area, and it was inside that apartment where 26-year-old Gemmel Moore was found dead, apparently from a meth overdose. Now, Moore's mother is questioning whether or not Buck had something to do with her son's death, whether or not he was responsible for it, but Buck's attorney says his client has done nothing wrong and he only tries to help people. July 27th, 2017. Surveillance images revealed a moment when the body of 26-year-old Gemmel Moore is removed from the West Hollywood apartment of Ed Buck, a very well-known Democratic donor in L.A.
I'm calling out the West Hollywood Sheriff's Department to please launch a thorough investigation into the supposed accidental death of my son.
In a video posted to YouTube, Gemmel Moore's mother, Letitia Nixon, says she feels the police initially turned a blind eye to her son's case because he was a gay black man, and Buck has political clout.
And Buck is a wealthy white politician who has, contributed a lot of money to the different campaigns and different funds.
Moore was reportedly a sex worker, and Nixon has questions about her son's relationship with Buck. It was here, inside his apartment, where police found Moore unresponsive. His death was initially ruled an accidental meth overdose, but LA County homicide detectives are launching a probe, citing new concerns. I got no response when I called Buck's apartment, but the building manager provided me with images showing the moments deputies arrived to his residence after Moore's death. Buck can be seen in the white shirt. The manager tells me video captured another young man trying to come up to Buck's apartment while deputies were still there. He says those deputies had to tell the man to go away. A short time later, Moore's body is removed from Buck's apartment.
I think that only a white man could get away with having a dead black body in his house.
Jasmine Cannick is a community activist who has been in touch with Moore's family. She says Moore's family provided her with his journal, which documents his relationship with Buck.
He details how Ed Buck, according to him, hooked him on crystal meth.
In this passage, Moore writes that Buck gave him his first injection of crystal meth, that it was very painful, but he became addicted to the pain. He adds, quote, "If it didn't hurt so bad, I'd kill myself, but I'll let Ed Buck do it for now," end quote. Buck's attorney, Seymour Amster, tells Fox 11 the journal is full of unverified statements and that he and his client categorically deny them. He described Moore as a troubled soul and called his situation tragic, but said Buck was only good friends with him, describing his client as a kind-hearted man who reaches out to troubled youth who are often homeless. It will now be up to law enforcement to figure out if there was any foul play involved in Moore's death. Now, it's very important to point out that Buck has not been charged with any crime. He's not even being considered as a suspect in this case. His attorney says he thinks the LA County Sheriff's Office is just doing its due diligence, doing the responsible thing by taking a closer look into what happened to this apartment up here. He believes at the end of this investigation, it will not bear any fruit. We are live in West Hollywood tonight.
Wow. Yeah, poor choice of words. So, listen.
It almost sounds like a movie script,
right.
I'll be doing the documentary, by the way, on this.
On this,
I will be. But it's classic. You have a privileged white gay man who is very wealthy and has donated hundreds of thousands of dollars to political candidates, from presidential candidates to our governor, to LA's mayor, LA city attorney, many West Hollywood candidates, and folks who actually are current office holders. And he had a dead black body in his house and told the sheriff that he died of a crystal meth overdose, and everyone said, well, okay, then there's nothing to see here, it's just another meth overdose.
Well, let me ask you a question. Were paramedics called and he was still alive and he died, or he was dead when Ed Buck called?
He was dead. And so
I wonder what time of death was in terms of the lapse between death and the call being made.
And so it's, for me, it's troubling that, one, the sheriffs didn't actually do an investigation. So this happened July 27th, and only now, because of the Journal and other victims coming forward.
Right. Well, people making a stink about it. One person in particular making a stink about it.
Yeah, I'm going to continue to make a stink about it, but only now. And so in between all that time, I'm sure a lot of evidence has been washed and cleaned.
Because it wasn't a crime scene.
Away.
Listen, West Hollywood Sheriff, I started my law enforcement career as an Explorer Scout when I was in high school at the West Hollywood Sheriff Station, 729 North San Vicente. And there's a lot of drug overdoses that they handle there. West Hollywood is just kind of what happens there. Not a whole lot of street crime or homicides, but this manner of death is not unusual. Right. In West Hollywood. So, and most of them are not homicides. They are accidental overdoses. This is a death investigation.
If it was your apartment in West Hollywood, do you honestly feel like you could have just said, well, he died of meth. I don't know how he got that meth.
Well, I think it happens quite a bit.
No. Do you think you could have said that as a black man and they would have just took your word for it?
With a dead white boy in my bed?
Yes.
Okay. Let me say this. I don't think race has so much to do with it as money. And the reason I say this is Bill Cosby was giving people drugs for a long time and never got in trouble for it. Nobody ever died, but that's because nobody ever died. But, Bill Cosby skated, okay? Bill Cosby skated like Christy Yamaguchi for years. And we're just hearing about it now because Bill Cosby had money, he had influence. So I don't know that it's a racial thing. I think that makes it, I think there's an interesting component, and I think that certainly needs to be looked at. But I think it's more about money, the haves and the have-nots. That's a typical story.
This story has everything to do with race. This story has everything to do with the intersection of race.
You don't think it's about privilege and access?
I think that a class. I think it has a lot to do with it. But again, we're talking about young black, gay.
But it could have been a young white boy in his bed, and nothing would have happened.
But can I just ask you a question? Because in the report they called him a sex worker. Yeah. So is he a prostitute or what?
Yeah,
he's a male prostitute.
He was an escort. He was a homeless escort. See,
you don't want to use the P word. He was a male prostitute.
Look, that's my choice. So, you as officers understand that there's a whole nother part to LA that a lot of people don't know anything about. Sure. Right. And it's not just Figueroa and Long Beach Boulevard and Western.
She's calling out all the strolls. She's calling out all the strolls.
It's Sunset. It's Hollywood.
It's Santa Monica for the boys and Sunset Boulevard for the girls.
Exactly. And so you know, it's not just about Gemmel Moore. It's about all of Ed Buck's victims. Since this story has broken the mainstream.
When you're calling victims, like victims of what?
Right.
So one of the issues in the Gemmel Moore story is that there was another occasion that Mr. Moore was at Mr. Buck's house, and he called his mother and said that he had been drugged, and while he was unconscious, Ed Buck had injected him with some drug, and he didn't know what it was.
Okay.
And he was screaming and crying, according to his mother. Since this has been made public, I myself have spoken to 3 other young men who have said that Mr. Buck has done the same thing to them.
Okay, so in that case, there's victim. There's victimhood there, sure.
That they were slipped. They called it G, but I believe that's short for GHB, or the rape drug,
right.
Date rape drug, or whatever they call it. And I don't go on much dates, so I don't really know what the name of the drug is.
I don't think drugs are necessarily part of dates, but I guess they could be.
They were given that. One young man I met with in person talked about how he was slipped that, passed out, woke up, he was tied up. His arm was in pain.
Well, Buck's a freak.
No, there's no doubt about it. And that's what that was. Okay, so
and it's more. And I have to be clear, because this is a fluid story. It's ongoing. I'm still talking and meeting with these victims who are not going to the authorities just yet, because the authorities can't figure out how to offer them immunity, because their stories include crimes.
Sure.
And they don't need to be victimized by the criminal justice system again, but
they're complicit in some of this, though. They're complicit in some of it.
Look,
there's no perfect victim. I understand that.
Let me make this clear. Let me make this very clear. All right. If I agree as an escort to go over to your house and perform certain services and get paid for it, that's one thing.
But
if I do not agree to go over to your house and be drugged, and while I'm drugged, you decide to rape me, I did not sign up for that.
Absolutely.
So
I understand that. That costs extra. I get that. I understand that.
So, but the bottom line is, if the sheriffs are serious about building a case against Ed Buck, they're going to have to.
Was this the first time he ever met Ed Buck, the day that they found him dead the next day?
No.
So then he called his mother and said,
an ongoing relationship.
Right. That's the thing. That's the thing that kills me about this.
But see, you're thinking with your cop hat, and you need to.
That's what the show is. It's the Right Long Show.
Great. But I'm going to help you think.
And that's what the sheriff's department is doing.
with your sensitivity hat. Okay. We're talking about a population of young black men in Los Angeles who aren't in gangs, who aren't in college.
Right.
They're homeless.
Yeah.
They're addicted to drugs.
Okay.
And they're trying to make money and make a living.
Gil's got a sensitivity hat on. You got yours on too, apparently.
The best way that they can, okay?
I don't buy that.
No, because it's the same. No, you have to look at them the same way you look at women who would come forward against the abuse of pimp. You gonna put the woman in jail?
I'm glad you said that.
You gonna put the woman in jail?
No, you brought up a point. You're making my point for me. Was there a pimp involved in this?
Who the pimp?
Was there a pimp involved?
Who the pimp?
It wasn't. It was a trick involved. It was a trick and some male hoes is what it was. There wasn't no pimp involved in this. Okay. If it was a pimp, I could say they were subject to manipulation. Some dirty pimp got them hooked on dope and turned them out, and they were wayward and didn't know what to do.
In Gemmel Moore's case,
there was no pimp involved in this.
Ed Buck did hook him on crystal meth because he documented that and wrote that and said that in his own words.
Well, he wrote that down. He, like the attorney said, that's
someone's gonna write something like that down in a private journal and expect that one day it's going to be on television and the whole
No, probably not one day it's going to be on television.
He's definitely.
But let me ask you a question. Did Gemmel Moore, and I think I recall reading this, that Ed Buck would sometimes send him out in the streets to get other young dudes to bring back to the house?
I don't think that was Gemmel's story. I think that was another one of the victims.
No, his mother said that. His mother said, my son would go out.
Okay, that could be a part of his story, but I know that there are other young... Again, but you're making my point for me now, because that is part of the reason why the young men that I've spoken to won't go to the authorities, because they do realize that in telling their story or giving a statement, that they would have to admit to doing things that are crimes.
Sure.
But in politically correct Los Angeles County, we make all kinds of allowances for victims of human trafficking and sex trafficking.
They let Sammy the Bull Gravano walk with double-digit murders because he was willing to testify against John Gotti. So I understand that. The immunity sometimes has its place.
I'm not even going that high. I'm just talking about other female sex workers in this fight we're in LA County around human trafficking. We've developed all kinds of sensitivity policies
so they can testify against their
women
pimp.
to come forward.
But there's no pimp involved here. There's always pimps and sex traffickers. There doesn't seem like there's any pimps involved here.
That's not the point. The point is that we bend rules and we make allowances and we show kindness to witnesses who are also victims when we want to. And so, again, if the district attorney's office and the sheriff's department is serious about investigating all of the allegations against Mr. Buck that are starting to come forward from young men, because he's been doing this for years and years and years, then they're going
there's a pattern.
There's a clear pattern. And I know for a fact, because these young men that I've met with and spoken to don't even know each other, but they all have the same pictures with the same couch and the same mirrors and the same counters and the same flag in them.
So it's the same house, and that he had it set up like that.
And again,
that was his spot,
you're
right?
a 63-year-old white man who hobnobs with the governor and the mayor and state senators and congressional members. How the hell do you know all of these homeless young black men?
Well,
you're not a counselor.
He's part of that scene.
Listen, it really kind of was rhetorical, but you're not a counselor. You don't work at a youth center.
Right.
You don't donate to youth causes. You're not involved. But somehow, according to his attorney, we're supposed to believe that he's good friends with these guys.
He's a good person, right.
Now, no, good
friends.
They
said he was a good person, too.
Good friends and kind-hearted.
Right.
Now, I just did a piece today that the Democrats are all pissed off about, but I'm a Democrat, so we can all be pissed off together, detailing the hundreds of thousands of dollars he's donated and to whom.
That's why they're not saying anything.
Now, let me finish, please.
That's why.
Seymour Amster, who represented the Grim Sleeper, who now has the WeHo Creeper as a client. One of my Facebook.
That's funny. That's funny.
I can't take credit for it because one of my Facebook folks gave me that name.
WeHo Creeper.
Well, now the WeHo Creeper for a client has told us all via the news that his client was good friends with Gemmel Moore. Good friends.
Good friends.
Gemmel Moore's funeral is on Saturday, and it is being paid for by a GoFundMe account.
Wow.
His good friend, who has given hundreds of thousands of dollars up into this year, current campaigns, Garcetti, Mike Fewer, a lot of LA city offices, and state elections, because we ran it, so we have it from like 2000. His donations from like 2008 to 2017. He ain't put forth a dime for his good friend's funeral. He hasn't called his good friend's mother. He hasn't called his good friend's friends. All he's done is hide in his apartment.
Well, he probably wasn't even in that apartment. He probably didn't really live there.
He lives there.
Can I ask you a question?
Channel 7 found him there Tuesday. He was there Tuesday and yelled at the reporter through the intercom because he didn't want to be bothered.
But he's a wealthy donor and he lives in an apartment on Kings Road.
Let me tell you something. It's Laurel Avenue. I would live there too if I paid $800 a month in a rent-controlled apartment in West Hollywood. I wouldn't move either. I might move after there was a dead body, though, because I don't do well with that.
That's exactly right. That might have just been his extracurricular.
You might have to call
$800, and the center of your life is West Hollywood, and you're right across the street from City Hall and Santa Monica Boulevard.
He's in walking distance. That's true.
Why would you move? What 800?
But listen,
and maybe that's why he has so much money, because he's frugal and he don't have to live in Pacific Palisades in some $1 million home.
You know, maybe. But here's the thing.
He's an old-ass white man.
What does he do?
Maybe he doesn't want to get involved in paying for funerals or have any contact with the mother, because he knows that while his criminal exposure may not be that great, his civil exposure is. And he doesn't want to do anything that anybody can say that was about Gil, or you made this statement to the mother and all that.
That is absolutely fine. I'm just making the point and putting it out there for people to think about. Because if you have your mouthpiece out in the world telling everybody that you're good friends and you're kind-hearted and you just find these troubled men and try to offer them food and a place to stay out of the kindness of your heart, I would think, especially after looking and adding up all of the money that you've given to people for political campaigns, that you might at least have a few $100, $1,000 you might
right, because the funeral's what? Funeral's $7-8 grand.
Throw towards the funeral of someone who died in your house.
Okay, so Ed Buck, I know you're going to watch this with your attorney because she's here, and you guys are tracking her every move, I'm sure.
Track me.
Give that boy's family some money at least. She did die in your house. Do
the right thing. Do the right thing.
Somebody told me that earlier, talking about, I hope you're watching your back and you careful. First of all, Ed Buck ain't coming out his house. And if he did come out his house, he's not coming to South L.A. And if he did come to South L.A., he'd get the shit beat out of him.
Well, it sounds like he may have a little crew, though, that might be able to blend into South L.A. a little better.
They with me now.
Oh, okay.
Can I ask you a question, Jasmine?
Yes.
Is
it rhetorical?
No, it doesn't. It's not rhetorical.
Okay,
what does the family think? What do they say? Why?
They're suspicious of Ed Buck.
But suspicious of what?
They've gotten the journal. They've read the journal. Jamel's mother, Mrs. Nixon, like I said, she had gotten a phone call when he
right.
He
but do they think he killed Jamal?
They think he killed him on purpose, or they were just doing a little freak thing and it got out of control?
It was probably I don't think they killed him on purpose. I don't think anyone thinks that.
So not murder necessarily,
right. But
involuntary manslaughter.
When you have some free time, you should really go to my website, JasmineOnline.com, and read what happened. You should read the ad that he put on Adam for Adam, which is a site, Adam for Adam. Men for men, right?
Okay. See how she explained it to me? And she didn't feel the need to explain it to you?
Well, yeah, but that's...
Okay,
She knew.
And
I was going to say, you already knew.
No, I was going to say, she explained it to me because you knew already. Go ahead.
George is trying to play like he don't know. But
in his ad, he references that he wants a 6-foot N-word. He said that in the ad. He references a whole bunch of stuff.
And he says, sign Ed Buck, political donor.
Oh, his screen name.
1, 2, 3, 4 Laurel Avenue, West Hollywood.
Obviously, he took it down now that we published it, but it was his name backward. It was Bucked. Bucked. That was his.
Oh wow!
That was his name. I was able to go on Facebook and I took some time and went through his post and he was having a conversation with a friend of his on Facebook and he said, "Back off or the nigger gets it," quoting
Blazing Saddles. Blazing Saddles. That's Cleveland Little's line. Right? Remember that?
Yeah.
Wow.
And again, but this is a man who, if you go to his page, he's smiling with Jerry Brown, he's smiling with Garcetti, he's smiling with Hillary Clinton, he's smiling with all the Democrats. And like I said on Twitter today, usually we distance ourselves from white people who call black people nigger. We say, oh no, we can't be involved in that.
Right.
But I guess if your check is big enough, I guess he didn't say it with the with the A-H or an A at the end. That I guess for black people is the
that makes it acceptable.
He literally wrote out Nigger. Okay. So, but my point is,
he had a fetish of some sort.
He go read his ad. He has an underwear fetish. He has a big what fetish. He only wants black, slender, masculine black men.
But
let me tell you how deep my investigation took me. I actually had to make a fake profile and go on Adam for Adam so I could verify that.
Did you take a shower after you went on there?
It's just not my thing. I'm gay.
You better go to confession.
So I'm into something totally different.
You better go to confession.
I don't knock other people, but
that's pretty deep, huh?
But you do what you got to do for the cause. You know what I'm saying?
All right, you took one for the team.
I had to get in there. I had to get in there and see it. But this case has created a whole lot of problems for the city of LA, the city of West Hollywood.
What kind of problems? I don't see the problem.
There's big problems. One, you have a sheriff's department that messed up and didn't do any sort of investigation and now is trying to backtrack. You asked me a question.
Let me just stop. Let me just stop you right there.
I'm gonna pull over the car. Okay. All right.
So they responded to the call. The homicide showed up, and they
didn't at first, right?
No, they said in the thing.
No, they came later. I thought it was just a regular death investigation, wasn't it, initially?
There were no homicide detectives.
The homicide didn't come until now they're saying they're going to send homicide.
But initially Detective Ralph Hernandez was assigned this week. Okay?
Gotcha.
Is that right?
Yeah.
I think I went to the academy with him.
Oh.
Who?
Ralph
Well,
Hernandez.
you need to talk to your friend, dude.
He's a marshal. This is the same guy. He started off as a deputy marshal, went to the academy with me.
He literally sent a text
Good guy.
to one
Sat
of
right
the
next to me, Holt and
victims, and in the text message, he said, "Please just talk to me. I don't care if you're an illegal gay escort," or did he say illegal male escort? I don't know. Either way, it was really insensitive. And
why? If that's what they are.
Okay, so I'm gonna need you to watch some more episodes of Law and Order SVU.
That's
Particularly
TV.
pay attention to Detective Benson and Tutuola. They know how to deal with victims of sex crimes, and that's not how you deal with a victim of a sex crime, is by first, letting them know that you think that they're an illegal male escort. Okay.
I don't need to watch TV and learn how to be a cop. I'm real. I ain't no cop.
But let me go back.
Ain't no cop.
Let me go back. You asked me a very good question, and I got to get ready to get out of here. But you asked me a very good question. Why is this a problem? The sheriffs didn't do an investigation initially. Now they have to go back and do an investigation.
Well, no, they did an investigation, but it was just a simple death investigation.
They did that. Now they have to go back and do a homicide investigation. They've put out a call, that they want friends of Gemmel Moore's as well as victims of Ed Buck's to come to them, but they're not willing to offer them immunity at this point, and the district attorney's office has said nothing. It's also a problem because you have a community that claims to be, how do I put it? The Democratic Party is the party of allies, solidarity, coalition building,
tolerance.
We're stronger together. But when you're black and gay, it doesn't always go that way.
Well, when you're black and gay, you probably don't vote. These guys are homeless. They're probably not.
Yeah, but I'm black and gay and I vote. Our community is pretty broad, okay?
You vote, but I'm saying these victims.
You're taking me away from where we're going. The point is that you have respectability politics kicking in, where black folks who are like, oh, he was a sex worker. I can't say nothing about that. I don't want to have nothing to do with that. You got white gay folks who are like, oh, but he was black. You know what I'm saying?
Identity politics
and Ed Buck is one of us, and he gives a lot of money to our causes.
And any one of us
you
could have
have
got
the
caught up in that.
overall Democratic community that, again, is also encompasses basically this state's LGBT leadership, right? Because mostly all of the LGBT leaders are Democrats in California and in the LA area. And even they aren't saying anything. One group, the Stonewall Democrats, I used to be the chair of the National Stonewall Democrats Black Caucus, but the local chapter distanced themselves because Buck sat on their board and was like the chair of something. And they quickly kind of did their politically correct statement. But other than that, no one wants to say anything or do anything. But people like me, again, who are a part of all of these communities, Democrat, black, gay, I'm sitting here watching you fall over yourself trying to make statements about Charlottesville and Trump and trying to find the next statute in LA County you can pull down. But you can't stop and say, I got some money from him. I need to return that money. I'm going to give it to his funeral. I need to make a statement and make it clear that this is not okay for our community, that we don't support
now
this.
I understand what you're trying to do.
You know what I'm saying?
Okay, but
if Black Lives Matter, it's not just respectable Black lives.
That's right.
It's not just when it's they'll be there tomorrow. We're having a vigil. It's not just when it's convenient or it's the popular thing to do. This man. You know what? I made a comment in this article about the Democratic Party that I wrote today. I'm going to tell you two things that I said that for me were, I had to kind of stop and say, "Damn, you're a good writer, girl." But one of the
jump back and kiss yourself.
Really though, damn it, I'm gonna forget. Well, one of the things that I did say was that when you have conservatives and Republicans making a bigger stink about Gemmel Moore's death than Democrats, something is wrong. Now, mind you, the Republicans are doing it for the wrong reason.
Exactly.
It's because he was a donor to Hillary Clinton. They could care less about Gemmel Moore. But yet, and still, if it hadn't been for them, Sarah Palin put it on her website. This story, all the conservative blogs have picked up this story, but for the wrong reasons. They've been exploiting it.
We do care. We do care.
Exactly.
We do care.
We care. They care a lot.
We care.
Yeah.
But can I just say something?
Yeah, sure.
So, as a Golden Mike winning radio journalist from public radio, I want to say this to you. There's a story here. And there's two parts to the story as I see it. Until just a few minutes ago, I didn't understand. I'm just thinking this is a non-story. This is why nobody's picking it up. But here, there's two parts of the story.
Oh, the story's been picked up now, but
yeah, I know. But in order for it to like have legs and actually turn into something, there's a very interesting connection between child and adult sex workers and Democratic donors. That's a larger story. And if Ed Buck is not only a freak and involved
by the way,
in this,
he used to be a Republican, and he led the campaign in Arizona to impeach the governor.
Governor Meacham,
I don't know
right?
if you remember that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, but here's where the story is. If Ed Buck took his contacts with that world and then also hooked them up to other local and state politicians, Democrat, that's a story.
Oh, I think so too. And don't think I don't ask.
Oh, I see what you mean.
That's a story.
There's still, I get what you're saying.
And then the other part is these people who took the money, where's their? They should. I think you're right. They should give back.
I have spent my entire career doing two things: working with elected officials and working in the media, whether it was doing communications or, being actually on air, right? So I get it. I've written the statements when statements had to be, we got to distance ourselves from this.
Right.
We can't be. They haven't even done that. It's like nobody wants to say anything
because they
about
know
this.
There's a very good chance that he'll survive this.
And a young man is dead. But again, if Gemmel Moore would have been someone who wasn't a sex worker, if he maybe had been a little bit more respectable, maybe there would be a bigger outcry. But that doesn't mean that, people should be allowed to ignore it. There has been one person, I don't want to say who it is because she didn't give me permission to say who she is, but there's been one person on the list of hundreds of people, elected officials who got money from Ed Buck, who wrote a check to Gemmel Moore's Gemmel Moore's funeral. One elected official, a congressional member, but no one else has that I know of. And I think I would know because I speak to his mother at this point every day, all day. I would have heard. And it's sad to me because I am a Democrat and I'm holding on by a string. I literally took this little pull over the car. I'm in America. It would be this way. Right. I literally took a test online to test my political party, like where I fall, and it said I was a moderate Republican. So I am
hence the red hat. Hence the red hat today.
I am literally holding on by a string right now. And if the Democrats in Los Angeles and in this state do not get it together, I am going to have to look at my options because this is why we lose. And this is why we're going to lose in 2018 because we don't practice what we preach. You cannot sit up here and scream about Charlottesville and ending racism and how you're everybody's ally and all lives matter and this and that. And then when someone like Gemmel Moore dies and a donor, when I say a top donor, go look at the kind of money he's giving people.
Mm-hmm. But maybe they're looking at it as a greater good kind of a thing. Here's what I mean by that.
What's the greater good thing? If we keep our mouths shut, this will go away and we'll be okay?
Ed Buck is not going to be in any trouble for this. He's not going to do any time or whatever is how they're probably thinking.
Can we make that bet?
Sure.
Let's bet $1 like Taylor Swift sued that guy.
That don't make it interesting, but all right, I'll take your $1.
$1.
All right, everybody see it. I'll take your $1. I was trying to make it more interesting than that, but okay, look, I think they're gambling.
Wait a minute. That $1 is contingent on this. If he gets arrested,
you can't add conditions.
I want to make sure that we understand. So if he gets arrested and arraigned, I get my $1.
Sure.
He may not actually
get convicted.
Right.
Sure.
Okay.
I'll give you that.
All right.
Okay, so listen. It may be a situation where they look at it like he's going to be around. He's still going to be a force in politics after Gemmel Moore is long gone and dead and buried and nobody talks about him anymore. And I don't want to miss out on the opportunity to get the funding from him to do other things that are the greater good, that are the maybe will impact more people on a larger scale.
There's no greater good than justice.
No, but they're thinking of the greater good of the political parties
and their political careers.
That's correct.
Okay, but framed from the argument that am trying to get schools built. I'm trying to get Confederate statues taken down.
No.
I'm trying to set up a legal defense fund. I'm trying to do all this stuff, and I won't be able to do it without Ed Buck's money. So I'm not going to alienate Ed Buck over this dude.
No, and I'm going to tell you why no. I'm going to tell you why, and I'm a Democrat, and I'm going to tell you why no.
Okay.
Because my party made such a stink about all of the money that Republican candidates took from certain entities, including, President Trump. They yell and scream until people give money back.
So Ed Buck hasn't been convicted of anything yet. Jasmine hasn't been arrested for anything.
It doesn't matter.
For all we know.
Let me tell you something.
For all we know.
Do you watch the news?
Sure I do.
Do you watch the fighting between these two parties and the accusations and, how companies, just regular companies, get caught in the middle of it and have to issue statements disavowing
and nobody's been convicted or arrested or anything. Sure, I get it.
Look, this is 2017. This is something me and Dr. Drew and I talk about this all the time on KBC. And in 2017, we live in a politically correct world. And in this politically correct world, the thing to do would be to disavow yourself from any connection with Ed Buck. The thing would be to look and see how much money your campaign received from him and figure out a way to give that money back. So whether it be giving it to a youth center that specializes in homeless youth or giving it to his family or whatever. These are the things that we do. We figure out how to, whether or not we think that the person did anything that was wrong, we distance ourselves. You watch, Garcetti does that all the time. Mm-hmm. People do, that's what you do. The fact that no one except for one Democratic group and one Congress member thought to, say or do anything out of a list of dozens and dozens and dozens and dozens and dozens of people. I mean, when I looked at how much money he gave Mike Fewer, I was wishing to God it was his office that had to prosecute him, because I was going to say, we going to get on it.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, I think they're all weighing it out. They probably have their spin people working on it and weighing out their options and what's the best thing for them politically long term, right?
And nobody's giving money back. I'll tell you that right now. Ain't nobody
forget
about
money. That.
Okay, so do you have $1?
Yep.
Okay.
You think somebody's going to give more money
back? And I'll
back?
let you know who gives money back or donates to the funeral in the amount of the money that they were given to Ed Buck. Yes.
Yeah, all right. I'll bet you $1.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Any more conditions? You want to add some conditions now that the bet's been placed?
No.
Okay, because you can't do that. Bet's been placed.
This final answer.
Place your bets.
Yes, final answer. Yeah, place your bets.
This story is just beginning.
You know what? This is very interesting. I think that Gil and I are both interested enough in this to keep up with it, and I really hope you do come back here, because I'm gonna need my $1. And
I'm gonna need my $1.
And we can have.
You're gonna owe $2. So
$2, right? We need our money.
No,
okay?
I'm gonna need my money.
I doubt Buck will ever be arrested for anything.
You want to get on this action, POTUS? POTUS saying she doubts it too. You want to get on the action?
There's no crime.
There's money on the table. They're grown men.
I agree that they're adults. I agree, POTUS, but this is the part where, I think people need to expand their thinking a little bit. You have more than one, more than two, more than three, more than 4 young men who have all confirmed that they've been drugged, and when they were woke up, they were tied up.
Yet, right? Nobody's come forward and said it under oath.
Because I discussed that with you. I said
that
why
they won't do it.
Yeah, but they are going. They've talked to me. They've shown me their pictures. We call them receipts. They have receipts. They have their pictures. Right. They have their videos and text messages. Okay, so they have proof that they've been in Ed Buck's presence in his house doing certain things.
Have you asked any of these young men, did Ed Buck refer you to any of his friends?
Yes, I have. I do ask them that question. And believe you me, if and when someone tells me that has happened, I will not be silent about it. But you have to also understand this as police officers. I know you'll get this part, okay? And I'll make this really quick.
Because that's a great story.
One of the reasons I didn't tell you how I got involved in this. How I got involved in this to begin with was there was a reporter in LA who came to me and said on the DL,
that's on the download for those of you who are...
For you white people watching.
There you go.
For Ed in Colorado.
Mrs. Nixon could really use somebody's help in navigating this scene. Because you got to think about it. This is a mother who lives in Texas who doesn't know anything about the underground world.
And what's happening out here.
And all of that, right?
Did she know her son was out here and he was a sex worker?
She found some stuff out. She knew her son was out here. She didn't know that he was homeless. She didn't know certain things. Okay. You have to remember something. He died within 6 hours of leaving Texas. He got on a plane, left Texas, came here, and a couple of hours later, he was dead.
But he stayed out here because he had an ongoing relationship with Buck,
He had
right?
just come back to L.A. that day.
Right, but he had been here now.
He hadn't been here for quite some time.
Oh, wow.
Ed Buck.
Oh, you think maybe he got clean while he was out there, and then he couldn't take the usual dosage this time?
His mother had said that his mother confirmed that her son was not on drugs when he was in Texas.
That speaks to accidental overdose, though.
And that he was clean. So my point is, someone came to me, asked me to get involved, and I said that I would, and I have been trying to earn the trust. Luckily, I'm really well known in the gay community here, and particularly in the Black gay community. So I've been dealing with people who know me, who also know some of these other victims, to say you can trust her, you can talk to her about this, because as you know, as police officers, these aren't people who want to be in the spotlight. These aren't folks who want to be in the news. These are people who are still working or still in that in that life. You know, and you know, I get a little bit of heat from like some of the reporters who know I'm dealing with them. I'm like, oh, have them talk to me, and it's not that I'm trying to keep them to myself or anything. I realize that I haven't even fully earned their trust.
Right, so
I can't just give them to someone else. I have to earn their trust, and for them to feel comfortable enough with me to be able to tell me all of this stuff, because none of what they're saying is easy for them to talk about.
I can imagine.
Mm-hmm. And so when I, again, going back to the sensitivity around Detective Hernandez and his use of language.
Well, I hope that's Ralph. That'll make me feel good to know he made it to be a homicide detective. That'd be good. I hope that's
Detective Ralph Hernandez.
I hope that's my guy.
You know, we have these are just all things that we have to take into consideration. This is such a, like I said, a fluid situation, and there's so many moving parts right now. It is crazy. And every time someone else comes forward, like one victim did let me publish his story. I had to blur his face out in pictures, and you know, and I agreed to do that. Mm-hmm. You know, but he allowed me to tell a story. Well, being able to do that brought somebody else and brought somebody else.
Sure.
And so I think the more people who see that other folks are coming forward, you know, it's similar to the Bill Cosby situation, right? You'll have more and more people. He's been doing this for years. So in L.A., there's no shortage of people, you know, so I'm sure there are a lot of other victims, and I know for some people it's hard to look at them as victims, but like I said earlier, if you agree to do something but you get tricked or you get drugged, or you know, it doesn't go down the way that the agreement was made, and what happens to you is criminal, that's not right. And just because you know you are homeless or you are a sex worker doesn't mean that what happened to you is
it should go unpunished.
It's not. Yeah, it should go unpunished, and it's not worth looking into. One component that we didn't get into, but I think it's really interesting, and you may find this interesting. I've had two of the victims tell me that they did try to file a police report on Ed Buck at the West Hollywood Sheriff's Station, and they were basically laughed out of the station.
Wow.
Trying to file a report of what?
The first victim, who I told you woke up and realized he was tied up. And basically got into it with Ed Buck, and then finally was able to leave. He was so high out of his mind because Ed Buck had shot him with something. He didn't know what it was. He went straight to the West Hollywood police
that's why, because he walked in there.
And they called him a tweaker and all of this other stuff. And then the second person told me the exact same thing, that he tried to file a police report on Ed Buck for doing a similar thing to him, and the West Hollywood folks did not take him seriously.
But you know, let me say, it may be because of the condition they came in there. The desk deputy working that day probably don't know who the hell Ed Buck is. It's not like he worked for a small city where everybody knows the city council people and all the movers and shakers. He's an L.A. County deputy sheriff, and I'm telling you how long he's worked at that station.
Do you realize how small West Hollywood is?
Listen, I told you I started my law enforcement career. I went to Fairfax High School. I'm in West Hollywood all the time. I was just there 2 days ago.
But regardless.
But still, I'm saying that it could be, not that the deputy heard Ed Buck's name and goes, oh, I better not do anything about this.
I don't think
it probably
he did.
said,
yeah, no.
bye, tweaker, and didn't even bother listening to the story.
Yeah, basically.
This white man, he tied me up.
Right.
And
I'm high right now, though.
He gave me something, but I'm kind of fucked up. But he tied me up. I didn't want that. I didn't want him to tie me up.
So, like I said,
He paid me, but that shit wasn't cool.
I think this rabbit hole goes very, very deep.
Yeah.
It'll be very interesting.
Sounds like a lot of twists and turns.
To see, how far it goes and who knew what, especially among politicians and folks in this city.
Well, like you said, let's see if anybody else got hooked into it.
If Gridlock Garcetti or Bad Idea Bonin, if you have anything on them.
You've been listening to KFI.
I live in Playa del Rey, sweetie.
Wow.
Did you go out when Johnny King came out there? Did you go to the...
Are you kidding? I can't get down there. The traffic.
I know. They did at 5 o'clock, too.
Right at the shack. I mean, golly.
I listen to KFI,
the shack.
too.
That's where they did the show from.
That's one of the favorite spots over there.
Yeah,
so listen. So how can people keep up with you to follow the developments? Like your Twitter and your Facebook and your website, all that stuff.
Okay, great. So before I do that, I should have started off this show by saying this, but I didn't. So one of the reasons why Gemmel Moore's story even became public was because online entity called WeHo Times had written an article called Sex, Politics, or I think it was like Sex, Politics, Meth, and Death or something like that. And basically,
wow, I like that.
They, you should read the article. They were the first ones to write about it, okay? And then other folks, followed in, and then I picked it up, all right? So I always try to give credit where credit is due. Okay. I think I've done a lot of work on it.
Mm-hmm.
Like I tell people, they wrote their story. I think I put more of a human aspect to it, because when their story, was taken by a lot of conservative blogs, and it was, like I said, it was exploited for the wrong reasons. And I kind of attacked it from a different angle. But if people want to keep up with it, I mean, those folks are continuously writing about it. WeHo Times, WeHoville, those are all online entities. The LA Weekly is covering it. The Times is covering it. My website is Jasmine Online, JASMYNE, and then the words online. Or just Google Jasmyne Cannick. It'll come up. And it's the same thing for Facebook, Twitter, etc.
Spell your last name, please.
CANNICK. But I've been doing a lot of writing about it from just different perspectives that I don't think other people would look at it as. And like I said, the latest piece I wrote today seems to be getting a lot of attention because I had to break it down for the Democrats, like why ignoring his death is wrong.
Right. Well, you know what? That's great to speak out. I mean, that's very brave, especially given the climate. And given where you're based out of and what you do for a living, that's very brave. And
I know, but people know that I'm not doing it to be mean or doing it to be evil. Look, I am a Republican. I'm not. Oh, Lord.
Whoa, we got a scoop. We got the scoop. She's admitted it for the first time.
Lord, no, I'm a Democrat.
It's the red hat.
I'm trying not to be a Republican. That's the point I'm trying to make.
That's a nice little soundbite.
I know, right? I am a Democrat, and like I said, I'm hanging in there by a string, and I think we have a responsibility to keep our party honest. And again, if you just pay attention to the political correctness of our city and our state, our fight around, immigration, our fight around all of these different issues, it's a no-brainer for the Democrats to come out on the right side on this and do the right thing, but they haven't. And
money.
I understand that, but we have to get beyond that. A life was lost, and it looks like there's a pattern of a lot of other lives who are being taken advantage of or have been taken advantage of, who have been used and abused by a wealthy Democratic political donor, and we need to not support that.
Well, if you can prove that, that's a good story.
It's incredible. It'll be a house of cards toppling down.
I'm working on it. I'm literally meeting with folks, like I said, and trying to just earn their trust and get them to understand.
Keep us updated.
And my goal, just so that you know, because we can make a bet about this too. My goal is to get them all together at some point and for them to sue him.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Well, okay. You got to get an attorney who's going to take that one. But
I already have several lined up, already interested.
Okay. Well, we'll see if that happens. Yeah, and if they sue, we should make a bunch of sub bets. Will they get together and sue? If they sue, will he settle? You know what I mean? Or will he fight it? Or, whatever. So listen, thank you for coming in today.
No problem.
Tonight.
Thank
we
you
appreciate
for inviting me.
And again, you've got your info. And your Twitter is?
At Jasmine, Jasmyne.
That's nice. You can just have your first name as your Twitter.
Because I've been on Twitter forever. I got on there. You know what I used to do? When new social media things would come up, I would just hurry up and take my name.
Oh, and maybe
I may not ever use it until years later. That's how I was like with Facebook and stuff before I really got on it. But at least I had my name.
Right, you can stake it out.
Yeah.
You can cyber squat on your own name there. Okay. Man, this is very interesting. We'll see where this goes. You got to come back and
watching
talk to
the
us.
news. Go to my site. Read the stuff.
Everybody check this out and let them know if people are paying attention to it.
And, I want you to read it. I want you to
I'm going to pay attention to it because I want my dollar.
Read what's up there. So go check it out. Go look at the videos.
And you know what? And you know what we'll start doing? We'll start retweeting the developments that we see out there. And if you follow us on Twitter, it's at Right Along Radio. You can Instagram us at Right Along Radio Show, and we have a Facebook page too. But the best way to reach us and to give us your feedback is to leave comments right down here in the YouTube comment section. That's the one that I think we both look at that when we watch a replay of the show, right, and kind of pick that up as we see it. So there are the Facebook pages, the best ways to reach us. And man, we're going to definitely keep this on the radar.
This is going to be bigger than the USC scandal that just broke. Watch. You remember the recent USC scandal? This has the makings of that.
Well, let's see what happens. Yeah. Hey, until next week, I'm George Holt.
I'm Gil Contreras.
And I'm Jasmyne Cannick.
And this is the New Republican on the Right Along Radio Show. We'll see you next week.